Hi, let me tell you about this book. This is called Shadows in the Mind's Eye by Janyre Tromp. Now, this was for a blog tour. I think my blog tour is coming up. I don't know. It's for a blog tour. Whether I put it up or not, I don't remember. But we have Charlotte Ann Mattes, or she's called Annie in the book. Before her husband Sam went away to war, her life had finally started to look up. And I say that because Sam was Annie's protector. Her father, the judge, was a very cruel man. And Sam took Annie away from all of that. Well, what happens? He goes off to war. Now, he's about to come back home, okay? He comes back home from war, and he's not the man that Annie loved. They have a little girl, and she's glad that the little girl's going to get to know her father. But there's some drama here. The drama here, and I should have wrote this down. In our day, we call it PTSD. And I want to, I may look this up, and I may even start this video over if I don't find it right away. We call it PTSD, but it was called like battle wounds. And I'm gonna see if I can find it. But yes, I did find it. It was called Battle-Specific Psychological Wounds. I wanted to find that for you in the book. We know it as PTSD. There it was called battle wounds. And a lot of soldiers that came back from the war, whether they had physical injuries or not, came back with psychological issues. And so she is a little afraid of Sam. She has no choice but to be afraid of Sam because he's not the man that he was. But she's not alone. She has his mother, his brother, and even his best friend, Doc. Okay? Now, there's something going on behind the scenes that Sam thinks he sees or says he sees. Then there's the drama about Annie and her past. Then there's drama with his brother Peter, his best friend Doc, and that whole dynamic. So it's a debut, and I will say that Janyre Tromp did a great job because it's a Hitchcockian Gothic type of a book. As a matter of fact, I don't like anything paranormal. I don't like any horror. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But at the same time, this sounded like a really good book. Kind of eerie. Full of suspense. And that's where you get the Hitchcockian type feel. Because the suspense was thick. It's very thick. Lots of tension. Lots of tension. So, how did you deal with this book? Now, I want to say one thing that made this look a little bit hard at first was it was written in first person. And you had Annie's first person voice, and then you had Sam's first person voice. Then you had Annie, then you had Sam, Annie, Sam, Annie, Sam. When you start this book, you've got to pay attention because it's I and my and so forth. So for a second there, I'm like, who's talking? But after the second, third, fourth chapter, boom, I was right into it. So into it, it's going to be 4 or 5 stars. And then we learn about Hot Springs, Arkansas. What was going on in Hot Springs, Arkansas that only Sam saw? Okay? So when I say that this book had a thick atmosphere, I didn't know which direction it was going to go in. But since it was a suspense, a historical fiction or historical suspense, it was done quite well. It was done quite well. Excellent debut. World War One and World War Two, in this case World War Two, left Sam with that battle-specific psychological scar, the one that I had to look up. Now we know it's PTSD in this treatment. I want to share something with you, speaking of that. I have to. Just give me 1 second. I have to share something with you. Something that in the acknowledgments from the author herself, yes, I'm trying to find it. How did they treat people with these battle-specific psychological scars since in the 1940s, when there was no full understanding of what PTSD was? Well, there was a certain thing that they said worked for our character Sam that made it so that his nightmares and his terror could be dealt with. And you'll have to read this because, for example, she did some research. Like, she read a book called Soldier from the War Returning by Thomas Childers. She said that was one of the first books that she read that detailed the battlement of the greatest generation had with what we now call PTSD. And it says that it should come to no surprise that this aspect of World War II is not necessarily widely discussed or acknowledged. Hardest for her, she said, was realizing how little help there was for people out there. In her case, her grandfather. So yeah, I love this book. Very well done for a debut. Very good book. So that's it. I just wanted to go to the acknowledgments to read that little bit. Of course, there's a lot more that you can read to find out how she did her research to write the book. And then what I like about this book too, it has some discussion questions at the end. I think there's 9 discussion questions. Yeah, great book. Definitely want to recommend that you read it. You can get this at the Kindle store for $8.49, and it's by Kriegel Publications, and it's out now. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.